boy, a tragedy over the weekend as Hezbollah rocketed a town in the Golan Heights, a Druze community, killing at least 12. I'm joined by former ambassador of the United States from Israel, Dr. Michael Oren. Good morning, Dr. Oren. Where do we find you this morning?
You find me in the north, not far from that attack. I'm looking right now at an area that has just been hit by a whole barrage of rockets and set an immense hillside on fire.
Well,
the whole mountain range is covered in smoke.
What are you doing up there? Are you waiting for the war to begin?
Yeah, I'd rather not go into what I'm doing up here. Take it from me, it's official, and I'm just everyone's sort of waiting for the Israeli response. I can't tell you exactly what it's going to be or where it's going to be. I assume it's going to be some response. It's a very sensitive issue. The Druze community. And you got to bear with it. It gets complicated. So it's going to be a test afterwards. The Druze of the Golan Heights, about 80% of them do not have Israeli citizenship. They have been loyal to Syria for many decades on the belief that someday we're going to trade the Golan Heights back to Syria for peace. And there have been several Israeli prime ministers who tried to do that. Syrians have turned us down. They're unlike the Druze in Israel, who since 1956 have voluntarily been conscripted into the army, and some of our leading officers, my officers, were Druze. They're famous fighters, terrific people, love the Druze. And so even though the rockets hit a village where most of the people aren't Israeli citizens, we're not going to, and then you say, oh, well, they're not our citizens. We're treating them as our citizens because we have this covenant with the Jewish people. And so we're going to have to respond. I just don't know when and how and to what extent.
Now, Dr. Oren, the backdrop to this is pretty interesting to me, and I want to get your reaction to it. France has basically fallen. We've seen that on display in the opening of the Olympics. They're afraid of their own people. They're afraid of Iran. There was a plot to kill President Herzog when he was in France for the opening of the Olympic ceremony. And the prime minister was in the United States where he could take the measure of Joe Biden, which is sadly not very much, and spend time with Kamala Harris. And I think return aware that Israel's on its own for the next 6 months. Is that a fair assessment? Oh, we lost him. Doggone it. That's the peril of talking to someone in the north. But I'll repeat that for the benefit. I think, okay, Dr. Oren, I was just saying the prime minister, he must have come back from the United States with an accurate view that Israel's on its own for at least 6 months.
Yeah, I would assume so. I think we've been on our own for a long time. It depends on how you define on our own. I think that the United States would probably come to our aid if we were being massively attacked by missiles. But if we go on the offensive, I think we're going to be on our own.
Now, do you expect the offensive? Because it just doesn't seem to me Israel can allow that kind of an assault on kids to go unanswered.
Yeah, true. It's true. But there are other considerations. We're still fighting in Gaza. I don't know what our ammunition situation is like. The Army itself has been fighting in intensive combat for 10 months now, and that's another consideration. I'm up here with a lot of people who have been in the Army since October 7th.
Wow.
But the situation up north is totally intolerable, Hugh. There's 100,000 people who have been uprooted from their homes, their lives. I'm sitting with people who are engineers and biologists who have been unemployed because all of their jobs have gone away. It is a war zone. It is a disaster area, and it cannot go on for much longer.
So the international community is calling on Israel to, quote, restrain its response. But I keep thinking to myself, to what end? Lebanon's foreign minister said, okay, they'll move back behind the Litani River. I had to laugh. They were ordered to do that by the Security Council of the United Nations in 2006, right?
Yeah, and they violated it the next day. They have to. They're not going to go back willingly. They're not going to retreat under Israeli fire north of the Litani River. They have to be induced to do so. And I don't understand what leverage the international community or the United States can bring to bear. We have a fundamental, I think I've said this on the program before, we have a fundamental disagreement with the United States and that international community, all of whom believe that there actually is a country called Lebanon and that it has an army, it's the Lebanese army. We think there's a country called Hezbollah, that has its army is Hezbollah. And, that's who you're basically negotiating when you're negotiating with the Lebanese.